so sorry. I'm going like, wait a minute, all the lights are on. Just trying to make sure I talk to everybody.
Yeah, maybe it's more doable.
No, yeah, no, just let's take a picture. So we should have 3 mics.
I just have a question about the format.
Yes.
So, people, I just want you to go to the podium and they can really,
Put that in there. Maybe turn on screen. You don't know if they're going to answer in the chair or walk out.
Hello and welcome to this evening's public meeting. We appreciate you spending your evening with us this evening. I'm going to go ahead and present our presenters and our facilitators this evening. We have our cohort. Please greet Alana Reed. She is with Community Engagement for the City of San Antonio Police Department. We also have Chief McManus, who's here to answer questions for us, and then also Deputy Chief Solomon is the reference to. We just have some house rules that we'd like everybody to adhere to, if we could, please. Number 1, listen attentively to each speaker. Respect other people's opinions, even if they differ from your own. Please don't interrupt them, and wait for your turn to be called on. Be open to new perspectives and seek to understand them. It's okay to challenge ideas, but please don't attack people's character. Agree to disagree. Sometimes it's okay to move on from the conversation without an immediate resolution. Share airtime. We have 1 hour scheduled, and we are going to stick to that 1 hour. But it's meeting so everyone has wisdom and experience and deserves the right to be heard. And if you need any assistance at today's meeting, please reach out to the other members of the City of San Antonio team. Ask city staff to raise their hands, and they'll be more than happy to assist you with that. And so at this time, we're going to have a Q&A. But first, we're going to go ahead and open up our meeting here with some words by Chief McManus. And just to kind of share with you, Chief McManus has had a long-term relationship with Pride San Antonio. In 2007, when he first came here to the city of San Antonio, he had an outreach to the LGBTQ community there on Main Avenue. There was an issue of people that were being murdered behind some of the bars or being murdered in nearby parks and things like that. And so he really wanted to address that issue. So he did meet with some of the business leaders there. And then we thought, who would be a great person to be our great Grand Marshal than other than Chief McManus, who's trying to make a positive influence here in the city. Our theme this year is unity in the community, and we really feel strongly about that here as a private organization, but as a city. There's too many things that are happening outside of the city that are having negative impacts on us as we stand. It's important that we move forward as a city to address these issues. It may not always be how we want them to be addressed, but we need to have that conversation, and we need to know how we can move forward and address them in the future. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor to Chief McManus.
Good evening, nice to see you. Thanks for being here. So I want to start off. I met with the media this morning, and actually first I met with a group outside of the council chambers that showed up at council chambers this morning, and I had a good conversation with them, and I'll go over some of that conversation with you. And I also went to met with the press this morning at police headquarters to go over exactly what I'm going to go over with you tonight. And the first thing I want to do, I want to diffuse a couple things. The first thing is the press release that went out. That went out prematurely. It never should have gone out, saying that we didn't have any evidence that it was a hate crime. Because we didn't know that. We didn't know whether we did or whether we didn't. But that went out again, and it shouldn't have. I apologize for that. Secondly, there's been a lot of criticism. We received a lot of criticism for not immediately, I use the word, charging the shooter with a hate crime. So let me explain a little bit about hate crimes and how that affects someone who's arrested for a bias-related crime. Let's say it's criminal mischief. They tag up a Jewish synagogue and they make slurs toward Jewish people on the synagogue, and that person's arrested. He's arrested, or she's arrested for a Class B misdemeanor. They're not arrested for a hate crime. So where a hate crime comes in is that designation is put on the predicate offense by the judge after it's presented to the court by the DA's office. Hate crime is not a crime in itself. It's attached to another crime, such as murder, or assault, or criminal mischief. And the way that works is the DA's office will add that to the indictment, or they will file with the court to make sure that that designation is attached to the defendant in that crime. So there is no hate crime. So what we will do in this case is we will gather all the information we can. Past events in the neighborhood, this current murder, we'll gather all those facts that led up to this day, and we'll present that to the DA. And it'll have all the information regarding the offense itself and any information that may designate a hate crime to the murder. Is everybody clear on that? Okay. So just to be clear, we don't attach a hate crime designation to the offense. That comes down later on at the DA's office after our case is filed with the DA's office. We are also working with the San Antonio Fire Department, arson investigators, going back to look at the fire to Mr. Joss's house. So we're investigating that as well, and that information will also be included in the filing when we take it over to the DA's office. We've also heard concerns about the volume of calls to Mr. Josh's residence. Some of those calls were made by him, some of those calls were made because of him. We are looking into all them, and that will go into the investigative report as well if it's related to the murder, or could have any bearing on it. And then lastly, this case remains an open and active investigation. So I shared very, very little with the media this morning about the case, other than what I'm telling you right now. I tried to clear up the press release that we put out the day after the murder too soon. I tried to clear up the misunderstanding about how a hate crime is attached to this murder. I didn't go into any of the investigative facts. That the report on the murder has been released, and we've answered any questions that we can without interfering with the investigation about that murder. So that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you in the beginning of this. And let me share some other things that I feel are pertinent as far as the San Antonio Police Department goes. When I got here, it was actually 2006 when I arrived. In 2007, I was invited to be the Grand Marshal of the Pride Parade. I read the letter, checked off yes, gave it to my secretary, and it was put on my calendar. I thought nothing of it. I was in the Pride Parades in Washington, D.C. Dayton, Ohio didn't have a Pride Parade. Did anybody here from Dayton? Dayton, Ohio they didn't have a Pride Parade. I was in the Pride Parade in Minneapolis for 2 years before I came down here. So I thought nothing of it when I got here. After I sent that, my secretary sent that RSVP back, I see in the newspaper, in font, bigger than all the other fonts on the page, McManus set to lead day parade. That kind of was my reaction. And then subsequent to that, there was an article in the Express News that talked about me having a relationship, a romantic relationship, with a retired NFL football player back in Washington. I don't know if anybody read that back 20 years ago, but I thought it was kind of funny. And I can tell you the story behind that if you're interested later on. But anyway, I want to say, and I'm not blowing my own horn here, but I think a lot of progress has been made between the police department and the LGBT plus Q plus community since I arrived here. And that was actually an article or an op-ed piece in the Express News after I was Grand Marshal of the Pride Parade that year. And I have to agree with them that we established a great working relationship. Randy Cuniff was a good friend of mine. I worked with him all the time up on the Strip, and haven't had any big complaints or anything. Justice Solomon, raise your hand, Jesse. Assistant Chief Salome is my liaison to the LGBTQ plus community, and he hasn't reported anything to me of a major issue. So I'm here tonight to listen to you, and if you have any concerns, we'll certainly address them. If you have a concern or a question that I can't answer, I'm going to ask Olga Mikulis to touch base with you, get your name and number, and we'll touch base with you tomorrow before the close of business and try to provide you with an answer or set up a meeting with you to come and meet me at headquarters, or I can go out and meet you wherever you like. But that's how we handle that. So I'm open for your questions if you have any, I'm sure you do.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Sorry, a little bit loud. And we're going to start from the back to the front. Elena's going to cover this side over here, and I'm going to cover over here. We do ask, and I'm going to go back to my husband, the reason why he went into teaching was to raise students to be good citizens. So I ask, let's remember a little bit, we all want to be good citizens here. We all want to allow, again, the respect to others. And we'll go ahead and we'll work through the calendar from the back to the front.
We'll start on this side. Can you give us your name as well?
My name is Helen Teason. All right. My name is Helen Teason, and I recently moved to Woodlawn about 2.5 years ago. I actually walked with you, sir. I begged you, your police officers, come to my last neighborhood that I lived in for 58 years to help us and the elderly there, being overrun by drugs and stuff. But my wife lost her son. We moved here to Woodlawn to be closer to our son. And about 6 months after we got here, our neighbor started harassing us. He's come on our property. They said we need a video. He has climbed an 8-foot privacy fence on ladders and through our windows. I finally, at 2 times I caught him and had it out with him. And the last time I put the cameras up, but the police officer that showed up told me they can climb the ladder anytime they want and look over your fence. I said, okay, well, that's weird. And then it's gotten worse. I don't know if something mentally, I'm sure something's mentally wrong with this man. But my wife, this man would beat his dog, let him out, and then they got stolen or something, so they took him. He thinks my wife took him, so every day, he came out there, as soon as he hears me leaving my motorcycle to go to work, he comes out and he told her, come here, I'm going to kick her, you know what? And she got freaked out, she called me, I said, oh, please. The next day, he's waiting on the curb in the dark. She comes out at 5 in the morning to go to work. And I'm asleep because I'm a school teacher and I don't have to get up that early. And then he has a flashlight and he's shining in her eyes, glaring at her. They said, oh, well, he can stand up there and do that all he wants. The following day, he's out there with a bat in the street waiting on her. So I'm having to get up with her. And I got all these cameras now, right? And I'm pointing them like right at this fence. And every day he comes looking for her. He knows her days off. We had to switch her days because he's looking through the gardens in front. We cannot be in our backyard. We have a pool in our backyard. It's empty. She will not go there. She's petrified. We took our gardens from the backyard, put them in front, thinking our neighborhood stage would be safer. We called the police. Every morning I can show you in my phone where he comes to the gate with a rifle, with a bat, a rifle, a bat. You know, he went out the street, came home from graduation last Thursday, and the people across the street were having a party, graduation party, and he came out the street calling, and he's racist. He also racist, because they're really Mexican. And he is Mexican, which drives me nuts. But he came out the street, and the man was having a birthday party, and he starts calling her names, and he starts kicking at him. And so we go over there, and I'm trying to stop the man from the street, like, don't hurt him, don't do nothing, like, just go back to your house. But he is, in short, he has sicked his dogs on us. Your police officer said, well, he can sick his dogs on you as long as there's in my video camera. And so the next morning, I call y'all to show you the video, and the police officer says, well, we actually have to have somebody to actually visually see it. What do you want? You tell me you want video, then you tell me you want the visuals. So I had to go across the street and I said, where's your son home? Are your children outside? Yes, we'll be here in a little while. We made another report about that. I'm sorry. And so-
I also want to give
but she's just, my nervous system is a wreck. I have PTSD, and it took me like 20 years to learn how to sleep. And I get to this house, and I'm just like so, and I'm not afraid. I'm afraid of myself, because I'm very upset with this man. And it seems like every time we call y'all, he gives us excuse. I went down to your police station 2 weeks ago. He made over 400 bogus calls to my house in the middle of the night, waking me up. I walked outside your police officer, shining lights in my face and stuff.
How long has this been going on?
2.5 years.
Okay.
2.5 years, and I'm a wreck.
Let me say this, I'm sorry that we have not been able to fix that for you, and if, to your satisfaction. So, hopefully it's going to take your name and number, and I promise you that we will resolve that issue for you.
I appreciate it, 'cause I even wrote a 3-page letter to your Sergeant Ross and hand carried it to the West Side Station. He wouldn't come out. He sent Officer Connor out to tell me, oh, we'll just go to mediation. I was like, there's a 60-second, that's not mediate. I'm sorry. Like, you know, and so.
If you would give Oldie your name, your address, and your phone number,
I appreciate it. Like I said, thank you for all you do, because I know you did come out to our last neighborhood a lot.
and I'm going to give you this number, don't give it to anybody. It's my number. Don't tell anybody else. 210-207-7360. If you call and I'm not in the office, leave a message, and I will return the call. If I'm in the office, I will take your call.
I appreciate it.
Promise.
I appreciate it. I just wanted to be done because we moved to this house, you know, we're in the last of our years. This will be our last
I
house
understand.
before we move to something tiny, and I just want peace. My personal business is to teach people how to regulate their emotions and live in peace and life. That's my personal business. So,
Chief, we have a question back here.
Just thank you again for being here. As we mentioned earlier, one of our challenges as the LGBT community is that historically hate crimes go underreported and underprosecuted. And I know that as SAPD, you all don't add that hate crime charge at the beginning, right? That hate crime charge comes when the sentencing phase comes through. Having said that, the concern with SAPD making the statements that they did, and I understand we're walking that back now, but the concern is that when we make these statements and say this is not a hate crime, then that could be used in the criminal defense against our community, right? And so the concern that I have is that, I know we've done a lot of training, I know that the LGBT community has done a lot of work with you, but that training needs to be continuous so that we can continue the relationship, because we do have a great relationship. I remember when you first came to San Antonio, and you met with San Antonio Stonewall, and you promised to support, so this is a testament to that, and we do appreciate it, but we do think it's important that maybe increased training happens with your officers so that that type of language is not used, because while you cannot apply here, it can negatively affect us in the system.
I can guarantee you they'll come back if the defense says that. I guarantee you the prosecution will come back and say, yeah, the McMahon said the same the next day. So hopefully it doesn't happen. But thank you.
Elena?
Hi, my name is Adriana Addicts. I'm on the National Board of the Human Rights Campaign. I don't know how much work we've done with you, but as much as you can share, what it sounds like is that it was a breakdown of process and maybe an assumption of not as many eyeballs on the press release as it were, and what ended up happening is it was national news. And so my observation is that either it's the same, it is the process, or it was not a break process and you're just not used to the eyeballs, or it was a breakdown in process, and then is that what happened, and what are we doing to rectify the breakdown in process?
Yeah, I think this will answer your question. I didn't quite catch the first part of it, but I can tell you why that press release went out. And the buzz on the sixth floor was, there were so many calls coming in about this. There was a comment made, hey, we gotta get something out. So we put something out, and obviously it didn't go over very well. But that's why a statement went out so soon. I mean, it was barely 24 hours after Mr. Joss was shot. And again, the buck stopped with me, so I take responsibility for that. And I guarantee you it won't happen again. Did I answer your question?
Is there an expectation of, I guess my thing is, if has this not happened before, so you don't have a response to it, where all the team knows this is what we're immediately doing, or again, the expectation of no, but there is not any focus on. The biggest thing is that this became a national, and it in the beginning was a process error that got you here, and so I'm just saying, are you thinking about that enough to where it's serious enough, or everyone just kind of threw everything up in this?
No, I guarantee you we thought about it seriously, and I can also guarantee it won't happen again.
Hey, over here.
He hasn't reported anything to me as a major issue. Over here.
Oh,
For approximately 2 years, I've been trying to get Assistant Chief Salome as LGBT liaison to do more community engagement on a variety of occasions. And while we did get guarantees that there would be at least PSAs on community safety, when he was directly questioned by the Leader family in March of 2023, none of this has materialized. Since then, and all of this was articulated to Assistant Chief Salome, I've identified at least 4 other murders since 2021 of LGBTQ people, not including Mr. Joss. He also characterized the responsibility of creating the community engagement on myself and the LGBTQ community. Even though we are not law enforcement experts, we have no legal rights to the private information, and we are not city's employees. When I identified Mr. Joss as the 6th identified murder, within less than 24 hours of the murder, Deputy Chief Salome immediately dismissed the concerns. My question to you, Chief McManus, is where do we go when the SAPD LGBT liaison immediately dismisses our concerns? Who has the responsibility of initiating the engagement with the LGBT community?
sure. Jesse, you want to handle that?
Good evening, everybody. Jesse Solomon. So to answer your question, I won't get into the piece by piece, but I'll tell you that you're misrepresenting a lot of what we discussed before. And there's been people that have been there for all those meetings regarding the PSAs. So let me say this, to echo what the chief said. When I got your email, I violated my own rule, like you shouldn't do with email. I responded emotionally because I got a little frustrated that you essentially have been accusing me, and by extension the police department, of somehow allowing 6 men in this community to get murdered. A community that I love and I care deeply about. So I got a little bit offended by that. What I should have said is that it is under investigation and we are exploring all the facts. I got ahead of myself there, and I own that, and I'll learn from that. So with respect to everything else you said, and your feelings about that, you were one voice of many. I'm sorry that we can't seem to get on the same page. I'm certainly willing to continue to work with you, like I say every time that I talk to you. I'm a phone call and an email away. But just respectfully, we're just not on the same page, and I don't think we're going to agree on any of that tonight. And so I'm open to having that dialogue with you when you want to have it, and I would love to have an open and honest conversation with you.
And I'll take the next question over here.
It's been really strange, like hearing, in the news and hearing people here saying that they've reached out several times about hate complaints and stuff, and it doesn't seem like their calls are taken seriously. Yeah, I'm a sidewalk chalk artist, and like whenever people call on me, I've been locked up in jail multiple times. I've spoken at City Hall about 15 times. I even put some sidewalk chalk out here to be positive and uplifting, and I didn't write anything to be bipartisan other than like justice for Jonathan Joss. Not that it was a hate crime, nothing like that, just justice for Jonathan Joss. And I got questioned at the door by multiple people. I've written justice for Simon Cuevas and I didn't get questioned. I wrote justice for Frankie Bazan, who was killed in jail. I didn't get anybody messing with me. I wrote justice for Jeffrey Shaw. I didn't get any issue. I wrote the 364 homeless people that died last year, and I didn't get issues. So it's weird how y'all can arrest someone for something as silly as sidewalk chalk, but then people can actually be violently and like terrifyingly harassed and terrorized, and their calls don't get answered for a long time. It's not really a question, it's just, wow.
Okay, I appreciate your comment.
Okay, we here?
Hi everyone, my name is Jocelyn Lear. My brother, nice to meet you sir, by the way. My brother is Zachary Lear. He's right there, sorry for the on my pen. He was a gay man who was murdered February 21st, 2023. He was gunned down, I'm sorry. Broad daylight, and I have had such a hard time with SAPD and the officers in regards to my brother's case. It has been over 2 years since my brother was murdered, and unfortunately my relationship with SAPD has not been the best. We have had a change in detectives because the first detective insinuated that my brother was promiscuous by going onto dating sites such as Grindr or anything else, as normal straight people do, right? But when he was helping me identify the body, that was his question. Was your brother promiscuous? Did he have any history of hooking up with people? And that has stuck with me and my family the entire time. And I feel like, even with my new detective, still no good communication. In the beginning, when we switched detectives, he was giving me all the promises. I'm here for your brother, I'm here for your family. But I have not got that. And I'm sitting here with all of you, with another man, Jonathan Joss, brutally murdered, gunned down again. And it's just a painful reminder that this is what my community and my brother and everybody else that has fallen victim to this gun violence, specifically hate crime violence, has succumbed to. And I need
Thank you for that, and I'm sorry for your frustration. Would you be open to speak with Assistant Chief Solomon again? Okay, so I'll have Olga come over and get your name, address, and phone number, and then Chief Solomon will give you a call tomorrow, and we'll get that straight for you. Okay?
Question here in front.
Hi, Chief. So my name my name is Beth Thomas. Probably all of you know. I'm Executive Director of the organization Act for SA. We do a lot of support services, civil rights services, folks that face police brutality, discrimination, all of that. But what I want to talk with you about, Chief, is like I appreciate you talking about the response and the press release coming out too early relating to Jonathan's murder. But I think what we're hearing from a lot of folks here, and I know a lot of the questions that we're getting from our folks is, how does this happen? How can there be a better response? We've had multiple instances of people saying that they made call after call after call about harassment, about violence, about escalating actions, about not getting responses on their brother's murder cases. I mean, I know another family, 2 years, they basically know you murdered your daughter, nothing's happening with the case. So really the question is, what commitment can you make to have a better response to community? Or are you guys working on a plan to make sure that you're answering these calls faster so it doesn't end in murder?
The commitment that I can make is that we hold folks accountable if they're not answering these calls properly. I mean, it happens all the time. The accountability part of it. If we find out that a call is not answered or someone doesn't respond, then they're going to be allocated for it and face the disciplinary process. So it's my commitment. And if anyone in here does not receive, thank you, Nana. If anyone in here does not receive the response to their calls that they feel they should receive, then please call a supervisor. And I gave you, if you didn't copy my number down, it's 210-207-7360. 210-7360. I'm sorry, 210-207-7360. And my cell number is 210, blah, 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 blah. But seriously, just call my office if you're not getting the appropriate response that you should be, and I'll send that down the flagpole, and somebody will get a hold of you and talk to you about that.
Thank you. Actually, thanks for coming out tonight. I appreciate what you've said so far. My name is Dr. Benhur. I'm the District 1 appointee to the Mayor's Council on LGBTQ Equity. And first, again, I just want to start by saying thanks for coming out tonight. And I want to put some data in front of you. So I'm part of a research team at Trinity University. We just published a study last year documenting the experiences of a little less than about 800 members of the LGBTQ plus community in San Antonio. Some of you in this room I know responded to that survey. It's available on the Pride Center's website. If you'd like to read this report, you can find me after and I'll tell you how to get there. But I just wanted to share these figures with you. Less than 1 in 5 respondents in that survey said that they were comfortable ever seeking help from SAPD. 35% of those respondents said they had openly been called slurs by police. And a whopping 70% of transgender respondents said that they had been intentionally misgendered. Officers had refused to use their correct pronouns. My first question is, are you aware that this community is having those experiences?
No, I'm not. And, it's unfortunate that the survey shows that, but unfortunately, it doesn't seem to come up the flagpole. But yeah, and I guarantee you, if it did, I mean, certainly we're going to hold people accountable if we discover that that's happening. Unfortunately, again, it's never come to my attention. So, but thank you for that. And what is the website that that's on? Yeah, would you please? All right, thank you. Thank you for that.
Rosie?
Chief, you and I have known each other for some time, and I want to apologize to folks ahead of time. I'm having a reaction to the information. I hear family violence all day, and so my wife does a really good job of trying to buffer me from that secondary trauma. But I'm sitting here now as the subject of hate and harassment that's been going on nonstop since November of late last year. Online, by phone, to my home, to my office, to my wife, to my staff, almost on the daily for a while there. Same person. That person's been identified by the Sheriff's Department, having 40 agencies, 10 social media accounts. It kicked up again this weekend because I was inducted into the Hall of Fame. There was a video made of me that's been circulated worldwide based on a false premise, false information. My experience with the department started many years ago when I was assaulted at a hospital after the death of a relative. I lived on Gramercy Street. The officer comes out and says, "Do you really want to do this? Do you really want to file this report? You look like you can handle yourself." That was the response. I had to call a sergeant that I served on the cardboard with to intervene and send another officer out. My point in telling you all of this is it's a systemic problem. It's not just people losing loved ones. And because it's a systemic problem, that type of harassment and behavior has been normalized to the level that they think they can do that to an elected official like me and not face any consequences because they're not facing any consequences. And I know that you're not the charging instrument. You're putting the evidence together and sending it somewhere else to be considered for prosecution. And I think these folks here, my brethren, my brothers and sisters, know that if I'm not safe, what makes them feel safe? I don't like walking around with 2 knives and a gun in my bag. Only for it to be used against me because I forget it in my bag at the airport, or some cop has a hard-on for me at the token center, makes up a story about me having a gun there when I didn't. It's one of your cops, Officer Gonzalez. I can point him out because we beat him in court on the divorce matter, and he's had a hard-on for me ever since. So, and I sat on that board for 6 years, and I know the problems, which I'm sworn not to talk about, but there's problems culturally within that law enforcement that you lead. Now, if everyone was just like you, we wouldn't have these problems, but they're not. And this question posed to you about, do you know this is going on? Seems more like you have aspirations that everyone come to us like you do, but they don't. So what are we going to do moving forward to make sure that the promises you're making today are kept by every officer that stands behind you?
Judges, is the last case you described, is the sheriff's office handling? Have they taken it to court? Filed charges on it?
The file was submitted and
At large?
was submitted and the respective prosecutor, the little respective prosecutor was appointed, the prosecutor because the DA had accused himself,
Alleging that he has conflicted out and become a judge in his jurisdiction.
Okay. Let me say this, Judge, in response to that, in response to other comments like yours. If you have an issue with a police response that you feel disrespected, or whatever it may be, please report it. I promise you that if you report any instance of misconduct, disrespect, we will investigate it, but we have to know about it. If we don't know about it, we can't do anything about it. Please report it, and it'll go up the chain to internal affairs. The way that internal affairs process works is a complaint is entered to internal affairs. Whatever that complaint may be, it could be real serious, it could be minor. The investigators investigate that. It goes to the CAR board. CAR board is made. CAR is Citizen Complaint Advisory Board. When it goes to the board, a board of 7 police officers and 7 citizens hear that case. Once they hear it, there's 2 things they do. One thing is they vote to either sustain it or not sustain it. Either it happened or there's not enough evidence to prove that it did happen. What happens after that is, if it's not sustained, they're done with it. If it's sustained, they take a second vote. And the vote is for a recommendation that they send to me for discipline or I call corrective action. And then it comes to me, I sit with my attorney and my staff, and we go over every case that was presented at the board. And together, we sit and we decide, the board makes a recommendation. It could be a 10-day suspension, 20-day suspension, whatever it may be. And then I issue what is called a contemplated notice of corrective action. And then within 7 days, that officer, as respondent officer, is required to make an appointment to come and see me. And then we have a hearing called a Louderville hearing, which is required by law. And the respondent officer, 9 times out of 10, they bring their attorney. I have my attorney there. They try to present mitigating circumstances that will change what the corrective action issue might be. So that's how sometimes it changes it, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it gets worse. But that's how that happens. So if you have cause, please file a complaint. Because again, if I don't know about it, we don't know about it, we can't address it.
Chief, I think we have time for 2 more questions and I have one right here.
Hello, my name is Khaled. I'm a community builder with Act for SA, if you're familiar with us. One of our other priorities is to get with the community and create and reimagine public safety, because we know police is not the be-all, end-all of safety and creating a safer community. Before I get to my question, I just want to say, as someone mentioned, it's a systemic issue, because over 60% of officers that go through that process, which you just spoke about, that you fire, you and your department fire, are rehired through arbitration, which the San Antonio Police Officers Association has a veto power over the arbitration, or over the arbiters involved in those cases. So it is.
Well, that's not accurate. They don't, but go ahead.
So my question is, we've heard from our community members here that they face multiple harassment issues with officers saying, well, they legally can do that, they legally can do this. Horrible things. Someone else over here, and we have an elected official with recognition and power who is also struggling. So how's it going to happen for us? So my question is, when we are being harassed, that is under legal means that y'all cannot address, what can y'all do? Because it's, especially the safe officers, what can y'all do in those instances?
Well, you're asking a very broad question, and I can't answer all those generalities that you talked about. I need to know specifics. But like I said before, if you have an issue and you feel that your call is not being answered appropriately or not given the seriousness that it should be given.
My question is, when you see and your officers respond multiple times to harassment issues, and what I'm saying is, when it is legal, like what you spoke about, when they're saying, I cannot arrest this person, what can you do?
I don't know the circumstances surrounding that, but if in fact there are no laws being broken, whether it's whatever the law may be,
No.
you can't do anything. But if there's what? Yes, as a matter of fact, because City Council voted that to be against the law. But wait. If you need the mic, I'll give you the mic in a minute. So, I mean, if there's no law being broken, but if you need to see a supervisor, call a supervisor. Call dispatch back, tell it, see a supervisor. But again, if we don't know about issues that you're concerned about, then there's nothing we can do to address it.
It's all online, but whenever you search for a number to call or you search for a way to place that complaint, it doesn't make it straightforward. I had to go to 3 different police substations. Finally, I got to talk to Officer Branham. I spoke to him 10 minutes. He did not let me write down anything. Like in Leon Valley, I filled out a police complaint form, and they told me, hey, you need to get it signed over here with someone. But there's so many blocks, and now I've been ignored by him for 3 months now, and like this is why people like Matthew Lovehurst got to stay on the force, because it's so hard to complain on time, and then people who serve someone a shake sandwich can get back on the force. This officer who first hit me and threatened to take me to jail because I fell down on my skateboard and didn't get up quick enough. You're making a mockery of the police like this. Can you give us just the phone number so we can interact with internal affairs, or the emails?
The number for internal affairs is 207-7365. It's online, 207-7365. And Matthew Lucker, well, you can put it in your phone. Okay, there you go. I appreciate your comments, and for the record, Matthew Luckhurst is no longer on the police force.
He isn't, but you didn't find him quick enough because it was so hard to place a complaint that he got back on the force. If it was easy to complain against bad cops, so many bad cops. There's Greg Nash, who also raped a trans person, too. Like, there's so many, it's just like mind-boggling. People don't realize how big it is and how many times they'll fumble and screw up, and then you have these things where you talk about, hey, the LGBT people in this city really like to do that. Oh, they didn't have it in this city. They were a little backcountry. We're smart here in San Antonio. But you still have these people going through absolute hell, harassed for months. Y'all can be on top of sidewalks, but humans having their life ruined.
I appreciate your comments.
Chief, we're going to go ahead and try to wrap it up over here. We're going to go ahead and take the last question right here.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Quathan. I'm with the San Antonio Current. Earlier today, Jonathan Joss's husband posted to Jonathan Joss's account on Facebook saying, "My husband Jonathan Joss was murdered in a hate crime. He spent years begging for help, reporting threats, pleading for protection." I just wonder, I know it's an ongoing investigation, I wonder if you can comment on that at all. I know you yourself admitted earlier today that sometimes you responded to calls coming from Jonathan and sometimes the calls were about Jonathan. And I'm also wondering that if there is even a kernel of truth to that, what made you so confident that this wasn't a hate crime the first 24 hours?
Again, that press release went out prematurely. It should not have gone out. Jonathan's husband made that statement, I believe it was the day after that statement went out, and that information will be used putting together that case. Okay? I can't because I don't have any knowledge of it.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Again, thank you for the community showing up. Thank you, Deputy Chief Solomon. Thank you, Olga. Thank you, Alana. Thank you, Chief McManus.
Thank you very much.
For being able to have this conversation with your citizens of San Antonio. It's important that we continue to have this dialogue. It's important that we bring these issues to the police department. I think they are working towards improving relationships with the citizens of San Antonio. Again, it is a work in progress. We do have our Unity in the Community forums that we've been having here at Woodlawn Point that we continue to have, and we continue to open those up to have these types of discussions. They've been actually hosted by Lindsay Lang, who's been doing a wonderful job for us here, Lindsay. Thank you again for always doing that for us. But the thing is, start raising our voice, start also